So I'm with Josh Sapan, who's President and CEO of AMC Networks here at Cable Congress. Josh, we heard a little bit about some of the disruptive things that are happening. What do channel providers and cable networks need to do to ensure the traditional distribution business that's operated for so long and protect its future?
Yeah, well, I think from our point of view, our contribution to that, we think is, in 2 words, great content. We think people will find great content wherever it is, and it has a life of its own and a life in popular culture. What we also need to do then is provide sufficient rights for cable operators to offer it on demand, to offer it on TV everywhere, and so that it can go to phones and tablets and the different manners in which people are consuming it today. So we are working with cable operators all across Europe to do that. And we find that the viewing of our content is big both in linear and on a delayed and on-demand basis via DVRs occurring in different remote locations. So I think the vitality of the ecosystem is in good shape. You heard it spoken about this morning, in part because of the good content and then packaged within a bundle that has high-speed data and really does offer a rather unique value and is technologically now progressive because it is on the device that you want at any time.
Yeah. Now, you spoke here 2 years ago and you talked about how technology was changing the way that drama content in particular was made and sort of making it a little bit more movie-like. How do you think that is evolving and what do you think is going to happen over the next couple of years as new technology platforms and new ways of viewing video such as mobile devices and so forth begin to gain more traction? What impact will that have on the way content?
Well, I just would amplify what you just said, which is that I do think what we just showed a clip of, which is a BBC co-production called The Night Manager, which is very well received. It's most critics have said it is more movie-like than television-like, and by that, hearkening back to the comment you made about on-demand technologies, it tends to play best when you're paying close attention to it. So when people sit in movie theaters, they're watching. They're not paying 1/3 or 1/5 attention. So a show like The Night Manager with Hugh Laurie and Tom Hiddleston is splendid to watch and pay close attention to. We have a show called Into the Badlands, which is a kung fu drama, or Fear the Walking Dead. They're at their best when you're paying real close attention, meaning you're watching it when you want to, in part. The evolution of that, I think, is unknown, the impact of social media. It certainly has the benefit today of electrifying the conversation around it, because when something's popular, like Fear the Walking Dead, everybody's talking about it when it's on. And someone blithely said that social media is the television grid of today or tomorrow, and that's true. People learn now about what's on TV from their friends through recommendations, less from looking at a grid that says, let me see what to watch at 8 p.m. tonight. They still watch at 8 p.m., but their cue comes from their friends. The next stage of evolution, I think, is unknown, but if there's a thread that we think will be consistent and predominant, it is that people love great stories and great characters. They endure, as do great novels. So that's the part of the world that we operate in and the part that we focus on.
Great. Now, we hear a lot about channel providers going direct to the consumer and developing OTT platforms and players on their own. What do you think AMC's approach to that should be? Do you want to stick entirely with the traditional distribution business, or do you look at what HBO and people like that are doing and think about a direct-to-consumer play?
Yeah, so I think we live within the cable ecosystem, and we authorize our channels through a cable subscription. So there's an important piece of nomenclature, because you can watch AMC when you're away, but you're putting in your cable credentials. and being authorized. So we believe our fate rests as part of the cable bundle because it is really an elegant bundle, it provides great value, and it is frankly rewarding to us. So the name AMC may sit on apps, but those apps are stimulated and enhanced and facilitated by a cable TV subscription.
Right. Now, one of the things that's driving change is viewing habits of younger people, millennials, we're told are watching less TV and using social media more, using different devices to view user-generated content and so forth. How do you think that is going to change? That change in behavior, is that going to be a long-term change that's going to change the way content is made and have an impact on companies like you who make long-form, high-end drama?
Yeah, you know, the millennials are watching more and more content of multiple sorts. And they are watching indeed on different devices, which we're now facilitated on. So you can watch AMC and our various shows on those devices by authenticating. And they're also watching shorter form that comes from YouTube and other places on the internet. I don't think they're necessarily incurring, however, one on another, meaning short form content is not incurring on the consumption of long form content, it's actually adding to it. And overall consumption is up. So when one looks at it, the immediate conclusion is that there's only 3 hours a day to watch or X hours, so if they're watching one, there'll be one less elsewhere. In fact, it's expanding. And the time spent on social media now it's fairly sort of chronic. It's almost all the time. So we see total consumption going up, and I think that there's a tremendous compatibility between short and long form. I think people are not yet demonstrating that they're likely to pay for short. And the notion of premium is a true distinction. People pay X to go to a movie, and they'll pay X to have open-ended or closed-ended scripted dramas that cost a lot of money to make, and they're smart. They distinguish between a cat video and a spectacular ongoing series.
We're here in Warsaw at Cable Congress. Do you think that companies such as yourself are going to do more about localizing and making content that's relevant for particular markets? How do you think that's going to play out? You talked a little bit about the internationalization of the TV business generally. What impact do you think that is going to have, and how much of it is to do with localization?
You know, I think that, well, of course, language will be localized, just to state that, but I think that they will sit side by side. I think there'll be an increase in international content. So Fear the Walking Dead, for instance, will premiere across the globe on AMC. And then we have channels that we operate that are distinctly but inherently local. It starts, of course, with news, sports, but then it goes on to different formats, be it food or something else. So I don't think that it will be either or, it will be both. There are things that are inherently local, and there are things that are better when one has the scale and resource to invest in a drama that is essentially supported by a worldwide population.
Josh Sapan, thanks very much.
My pleasure, thank you.
Thank you.